Welcome to the Accelerated Innovation Deployment Demonstration Information Session. Today we are going to discuss the Notice of Funding Opportunity. My name is Fawn Thompson and I am the Program Manager for AID Demonstration. I will quickly introduce Jeff Zaharewitz, the Acting Director for the Center for Accelerating Innovation. Jeff will share some information with you today and then he'll turn it back over to me. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Fawn, and good day, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I will try to be characteristically brief here today with you. I first and foremost want to thank you. We have, I think, 100 participants on the meeting with us today, and we're thrilled by that. So thank you for taking the time to join us. Next, I want to say thank you for being interested in innovation. If you're here with us today, you're excited and enthused and want to advance the state of practice in your transportation program. So we're thrilled you're joining us for that. And if you're with us, you're interested in the programs that are available to you from Federal Highway to help make that happen. So thanks again for joining us today. Took a little bit of a journey for us to get to this point today, but here we are with a great and exciting opportunity for you to pursue. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts and comments and observations as we walk through this Notice of Funding Opportunity. So sit back, relax, get your questions ready. And with that, Fawn, I thank you once again, and I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, as Jeff just said, he wants you to get your questions ready. Please note that we have a Q&A pod for you to add your questions. We'll be taking a break through the middle of this presentation today to take some of the questions, and then we'll also take questions on the back end. So again, please make sure that you use the Q&A pod, and we'll also be pushing out some websites possibly in that pod if we're referencing them in our responses. If you have your copy of the Notice of Funding Opportunity with you, I ask that you just go through as I'm going through and make your highlights. If you have questions after the session is over, please feel free to submit your questions to innovation@dot.gov. So with that said, we will begin our presentation on the Notice of Funding Opportunity.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Accelerated Innovation Deployment Demonstration Information Session. Today, I will introduce the 2021 AID Demonstration Program. We have a Q&A pod for you to submit questions. Throughout the presentation today, I will have some check-ins so that I can make sure that I address the questions that you have submitted. The AID Demonstration Program provides funding to accelerate the deployment of proven innovative technologies and practices, and through enhanced technology transfer, encourages a more widespread rate of adoption. The AID Demonstration Program is funded by the Technology and Innovation Deployment Program, known as TDIP. Projects submitted for AID demonstration must address one or more of the TDIP goals. Let's quickly highlight those goals. The first, accelerate the adoption of innovative technologies. Second, provide leadership and incentives to demonstrate and promote state-of-the-art technologies, elevated performance standards, and new highway construction processes that improve safety, faster construction, reduce congestion from construction, and improve quality of user satisfaction. The third, construct longer-lasting highways by implementing innovative technologies that lead to faster construction of efficient and safe highways and bridges. The fourth, improve highway efficiency, safety, mobility, reliability, service life, environmental protection, and sustainability. And finally, the fifth, develop and deploy new tools, techniques, and practices to accelerate the adoption of innovation in all aspects of highway transportation. Those are the 5 TDIP goals. 23 U.S. Code Section 503, Research and Technology Development and Deployment states, the Secretary of Transportation is authorized to carry out a technology and innovation deployment program related to all aspects of highway transportation, which includes planning, financing, operation, structures, materials, pavements, environmental construction, and the duration of time between planning and project delivery. Section 1101 of the Continuing Appropriations Act of 2021 and Other Extensions Act extends the Service Transportation Program under the FAST Act and Title 23 through September 30th, 2021. The AID demonstration is a competitive discretionary grant program. The FHWA intends to issue awards totaling up to $10 million for fiscal year 2021, making between 10 and 15 grants. The award minimum is at $100,000. The award maximum is $1 million. Funds are available at an 80% federal share, which requires a mandatory 20% cost share of the total project cost. The number of awards will be determined by the number and quality of proposals received in response to this funding opportunity. The FHWA reserves the right to make fewer, more, or no awards for this funding opportunity. FHWA also reserves the right to award less than the maximum amount presented in the proposal. It is important to remember that this is a competitive discretionary grant program, and the submission of an application to grants.gov does not guarantee award. 8 demonstration grants to state DOTs are awarded through project authorization. Grants to tribal governments and the federal land management agencies are awarded through existing agreements with federal lands highway divisions. If all funds are not expended under this funding opportunity, a second award cycle may occur. If after award, grant recipients do not expend all of the funds made available, the remaining funds will be de-obligated as part of the closeout activities. The period of performance for awards will be 1 to 3 years from the effective date of the grant award. This time frame is inclusive of the project implementation up to 30 months and report preparation up to 6 months. Federal Highway will award 8 demonstration grants to state DOTs, federal land management agencies, and tribes. Metropolitan planning organizations and local governments may apply through state DOT as a subrecipient. The FHWA is seeking a diverse pool of applicants and a variety of innovations, as well as project types to consider for this award. The FHWA encourages all eligible applicants that have not previously received an award to apply. What type of projects and innovations can be considered? Eligible project activities may fall in any phase of highway transportation between project planning and project delivery. Innovations must be a pilot deployment for the applicant. The proposed innovation must be proven, meaning the innovation has been previously deployed by others in a real-world highway transportation application. The project must align with one or more of the previously described TDIP goals. And finally, the project must include an innovation that has a technology readiness level of 7 or greater. The technology readiness level scale will be used to evaluate the appropriateness of the innovation proposed for the AID demonstration program. The TRLs are formal metrics that support assessments of maturity of a technology using a standard set of questions to measure the progress of the technology towards maturity. Only applications proposing innovations with a TRL of 7 or greater will be considered. Applicants are encouraged to use innovations included in the Everyday Counts initiative. They have a technology readiness level of 9. In addition to the agency's priority of safety, to maximize our 2021 $8, FHWA is seeking projects that deploy advanced digital construction management system technologies, address the first and last mile solutions to advance autonomous vehicle technology, projects that address climate change, environmental justice, and advance racial equity, or rural projects that address deteriorating conditions and disproportionately high fatality rates on the rural transportation infrastructure. Applicants should clearly state in the narrative if the project includes any of the aforementioned technologies. So I've spent a little bit of time telling you about the awards, award amounts, period of performance, the eligible entities, projects, and innovations. Do we have any questions on any of the things that I've discussed thus far?
Yes. Hi, Fawn. This is Sarah Lowry. I'm just going to read to you some of the questions we've been receiving. What is the expected date of award for the Lucky 10 to 15 application?
Federal Highway anticipates making awards on or before March 31st, 2022.
Okay. And so is there a list of graduated innovations that's current on the aid demonstration website?
Yes, there is. The current list that's posted there is current. FHWA will consider applications that propose the use of graduated innovations on a case-by-case basis. So it's better that we don't add additional graduated innovations right now. But again, the list is current. For those entities that are interested in proposing the use of a graduated innovation, they should reach out to me, the program manager, in advance of preparing that application, because again, it is on a case-by-case basis. The more information I have up front, we can have that discussion so that you can either be granted the go-ahead or we can tell you that it wouldn't be considered. So it's better to do that in advance so that the appropriate time can be committed to the development of the application.
Okay. And then we have kind of a few little follow-ups to that on the graduated innovation question, is that if a state or local has never tried or used a graduated innovation, then would an innovation application be considered this round? Is that correct? Is that what I just heard?
Say that again.
Would a state or local that's never tried one of the graduated innovations be considered this round?
Again, we have to take it on a case-by-case basis. So I don't want to just give you a blanket yes. If you send me the information to my email address or to innovation@dot.gov, I can let you know if we would be able to consider that, but it is a case-by-case basis.
Okay, here's another question. They're working with a university that has tested a product in a controlled space. The DOT would like to pilot the first highway application. Can aid demonstration funds be used for this pilot?
The answer for that is no. It must be proven and not in a testing phase. So that would probably be a TRL level of 6 versus a 7. We need to make sure that it is proven it can't be the first deployment to prove it. It has to be proven already. So that would still be in the demonstration and in the testing phase.
Okay. So Another question is, if the funding request is more than the available funding, would a portion of the requested funds be provided, or would the entire project be denied?
Well, we have $10 million. So we would anticipate funding all the projects as submitted. We are not going to pick apart a project, but if we determine that the funding needs to be less than what is asked, then yes, we will fund at a lower amount than requested.
Okay, we have a few more questions, and this was just a clarification from what was heard, is that if applicants have been previously awarded funds for a demonstration, can they submit for new projects during this round?
Yes, we encourage all eligible entities to apply. We really want to see applications from those that have not applied thus far.
Okay, another question is, does the project get higher priority if it's part of an EDC innovation?
Yes, well, I won't say higher priority, but Federal Highway encourages the use of EDC innovations. And as we go through the criteria, which I'll get to on the back end, we'll discuss how some of the agency priorities will advance the application. So it's not that it's going to be higher priority, but we do encourage the use of EDC innovations.
Okay, here's a question related to those qualified, the qualified entities. Are expressway authorities qualified to pursue these grants?
So the grants go to federal land management agencies, state departments of transportation, and tribal governments. DOTs may have agreements with local entities, local governments, and it would be with the DOT that we would make an award to any subrecipient.
Okay. And I guess there's some follow-up questions on that. Are regional planning commissions eligible as a DOT partner, as well as our universities? Can they apply as a subrecipient?
So these would need to be working in the transportation arena. Universities, I hear research. So I'm going to say if it's a research project, it is not eligible. We do not fund research. MPOs, local government entities, they are available to apply as a subrecipient of a DOT.
Okay. And I think this gets into some of the graduated that we were just talking about earlier. Are there some EDC innovations that are no longer eligible for aid grant funding?
No, as we stated, we will look at all applications that propose graduated innovations on a case-by-case basis. It makes more sense if you're interested in using a graduated innovation to reach out to me in advance so I can identify if you're going to be approved or not. If you're not going to be approved, then you don't want to waste the effort of putting forth an application that can't be considered. So please reach out to me more sooner than later and let us know if you're interested so that we can have those discussions. It won't just be me making the decision. We'll have to go to the group that helped us graduate those innovations. So we'll be looking to our subject matter experts to determine on a case-by-case basis what can be moved forward.
Okay, and I think we've got one last question before we go into the second part, and then we'll do some more questions at the end. Can the innovation be implemented in the planning and project delivery of multiple pilot transportation projects, or should the focus be on one innovation and one pilot transportation project development?
If I understood this correctly, can the project be multiple projects, or can the project have multiple innovations? And if that's the case, yes. But please make sure that the innovations are at a 7 or above. If you're using multiple innovations on a project and one is less than 7, then we can't consider it because we look at the lowest TRL level for the grouping.
And I think some of this question was getting more to, can you have several different pilot projects under a larger deployment? Or should you focus on one project?
We would have to look at that because if you're thinking about piloting different innovations under one project, that's a lot. But I can't tell you not to. If that makes sense for your project that you want to, then we would consider, you could consider submitting a proposal for that. But just remember, you have to develop a package that is going to tell the story of the project that you're doing and have performance measures to support all of that. And we'll get into that on the back end.
Okay. So I'm going to we're going to start part 2, and if you have more questions, you can put them in the Q&A pod as we go.
Those were all great questions, and I'm sure there are others that we will probably want to wait until I go over this next section to address. So let's get into part 2. Information on this notice of funding opportunity can be found at grants.gov under NOFO 693JJ321NF-AIDDP. Applicants must submit all forms required to grants.gov. If you do not have broadband access and wish to obtain a package, please contact us at innovation@dot.gov for direct assistance. Thank you. The application must include a cover page, project narrative, standard form, and budget information. The standard forms are available on grants.gov. The project narrative must include answers to section D2 items A through H. This includes the project abstract, project readiness statement, project description, innovation performance discussion, general application information, the funding request, eligibility, and selection criteria description, and contact information. Again, the narrative shall not exceed 15 pages. Over the next couple of slides, we will discuss these items in detail. The project abstract should briefly describe the work that is to be completed. It should also indicate whether the project is part of a larger effort or stands alone. Applications should identify the highway transportation aspect this project falls in and identify the TDIP goals that the innovation would address. Applications should identify the specific innovations that will be deployed and the associated TRL for each innovation. The project abstract should succinctly describe how this specific request for aid funding would be included in the project. The project abstract should briefly describe the work that is to be completed, indicate if a project is part of a larger effort or stands alone, should state the aspect of highway transportation, identify the TDIP goals the innovation addresses, identify all innovations and associated TRLs, and succinctly describe how aid demonstration funding will be used. The project readiness and impact section should include a statement demonstrating the project is ready to be authorized within 6 months of award. Identify where the project is in the recipients programming document. It should include a project milestone chart that identifies the project start and anticipated completion date. It should also identify where the project is in the planning process and indicate compliance with NEPA and other required permitting as applicable. This section should also describe how climate change and environmental justice were considered, describe how the project reduces greenhouse gas emissions and supports climate action plans, or how environmental justice screening tools were employed. It should also describe how the project enhances racial equity and eliminates barriers to opportunity. To close out this section, applicants shall describe the project impact in the application package to be considered. The project description section should provide a brief description and identify the project objectives, the proposed innovation, identify the documented benefits of the innovation, supporting its planned use. It should identify the current organizational experience with this innovation and the significant improvement that the deployment of this innovation would have on the applicant's current practice. In the innovation performance section, applicants shall identify project performance goals and associated measures related to the implementation of the innovation. Applicants shall provide a brief description of how the innovation will be monitored, assessed, and documented to determine if the project performance goals and measures are achieved. Applicants should include a timeline of demonstration, deployment, and implementation, as well as adoption if the pilot is successful. Coordination with other entities. This section should identify the applicant and any subrecipients, a description of cooperation with any other entity, and identification of their roles should be included here. The applicant shall include a detailed budget and budget narrative. This will require the completion of the detailed budget form SF-424, budget information that describes the costs associated with the proposed project, a budget narrative that summarizes the basis for determining the cost of the innovation in the project. The budget narrative should also include a chart that contains total project costs, aid demonstration funding requested, the federal share and its source, as well as the non-federal share and its source. Eligibility and selection criteria. In this section, applicants shall provide a brief description of how the project meets the statutory eligibility criteria as described in Section C, eligibility information, and the selection criteria identified in Section E, application review information. We will revisit this section in a minute. I would like to spend a little bit more time here. However, I would like to quickly complete the project narrative content. So let's move on to the last component. Rounding out our A through H listing is contact information. Applicants shall include contact information on their SF-424. This will be used to contact applicants and to inform them of FHWA's decision regarding award determination. Contact information should be provided for direct employees of the applicant. Contact information for contractors, consultants of the lead applicant is not sufficient for FHWA's purposes. So now that we've gone through A through H, let's step back and look at the eligibility section in a little bit more detail. The eligibility and selection criteria section provides a brief description of how the project meets the statutory eligibility criteria as described in section C. So let's take a minute and discuss that. FHWA will first screen all applications received to ensure that they were submitted on or before the deadline. Applicant eligibility has been met. SAM registration is current. The SF-424 is included. The SF-424 is complete with the DUNS number. We want to make sure that cost sharing and match is identified. Your budget information form is complete. You've included a budget narrative as well as an application to support your project. Let's take a look at the technical merit criteria. This would be the application review information in section E. FHWA will evaluate applications based on the following technical merit criteria, which are of equal importance. Applicants must address each criterion in the order presented. The criterion tied back to the details identified in the narrative previously. Criterion 1, project readiness. The project must be included in the applicant's programming document and must be ready to be authorized within 6 months of receiving the aid demonstration award. Criterion 2, pilot and deploy proven technology. The project must be a pilot deployment for the applicant, include a proven innovation that aligns with the TDIP goals, and have a TRL of 7 or greater. Federal Highway will give additional consideration to projects that include everyday counts innovations, advanced digital construction and management system technologies, and first and last mile solutions related to autonomous vehicles. Criterion 3, project impact. The narrative must clearly identify the goals, describe the innovation deployment benefits and outcomes, explain the scope of impact on an applicant's current practice, demonstrate how the project has incorporated climate change and environmental justice in terms of planning and policy, or design components with outcomes, identify how the project addresses racial equity and barriers in terms of planning and policies or project investments to redress prior inequities and barriers. And then finally, describe how innovations will be deployed as standard practice in the future if the aid demonstration is successful. Criterion 4, performance goals and measures. The application must present performance goals and measures for the innovation demonstration and deployment activities. The application must provide a willingness statement to revisit performance goals and measures if awarded. Criterion 5, monitoring and effectiveness. The application describes how the innovation will be monitored and how the effectiveness of the innovations will be determined. The application provides a willingness statement to accept FHWA oversight of the project. Criterion 6, the budget. The FHWA will evaluate to determine if the applicant's budget is in direct support of the requested funding amount. The SF-424 and budget narrative will be evaluated. Cost will be considered in the award decision. The budget application will be analyzed to assess cost reasonableness and conformance to the applicable cost principles. Applicants must provide required matching funds and support the details for these funds in the application package. Funding availability will also be considered in the award decision. This evaluation factor will not be rated, but it will be considered in the award selection. After evaluating the proposals using the criteria previously discussed, the FHWA will consider the application further if it supports economic vitality, proposes a project that is in one of the federally designated community development zones. So those are the additional considerations that we will take a look at after we consider the criteria identified prior to this list. So I have given you a lot of information on the second half. I quickly would like to go over our dates and deadlines. The first one being the issue date for the Notice of Funding Opportunity was July 1st. The close date is September 28th, 2021 at 11:59 p.m. That gives us exactly 90 days to have it on the street. We have a notice of intent. We're asking that those parties that are interested in submitting an aid application, they let us know that they intend to do so, and that information can be submitted to innovation@dot.gov. That is an email address. Again, innovation@dot.gov. We also have a question and answer period. Feel free to send any questions that you have to innovation@dot.gov. In the subject, I'll ask that you put questions for this particular Notice of Funding Opportunity 693JJ32-1NF-AIDDP. Submit those on or before August 3rd. We will consolidate all of the questions and post Q&As to our website, as well as a summary of them in grants.gov to the package. We'll add those to the package in grants.gov. And I am ready to take any questions that you have of me right now. Thank you.
Right. So feel free to type in questions. There are a few that came in, so I'm going to ask Fawn if she will answer some of these. Is there a requirement to submit a project completion report of lessons learned? If so, when is that report due?
So yes, there is a final report required for all 8 awards. That is due 6 months after the project completion. And this go round, we have a period of performance of 30 months, and that additional 6 months for the project report to be developed, totaling 36 months. So 6 months after the project is complete. And again, new for this go round, we have a period of performance 1 to 3 years.
Okay, thank you. There's a considerable amount of criteria that will be considered. If projects do not meet the criterion 1 through 6, will applications be considered if they meet the additional criteria listed?
So after we consider the first 6, then we'll consider the others. If you're not meeting the first 6, then just because you meet the others doesn't mean that your project will move forward. The basis of the evaluation, first and foremost, would be on the information or on the criterion 1 through 6 that has been spelled out. We have to make sure that all applications that we're looking at meet those criteria.
Okay. Is the recipient penalized if the demonstration is not successful or cannot be deployed as standard practice?
No, this is there's much to be learned from an unsuccessful deployment. It might have been unsuccessful for you as a recipient, but learning what you learned, you could share that with, in your report, of course, you would share that. And another entity may be able to take your experience, apply information that you didn't have on the front end, and be successful with the deployment. So no, you will not be penalized. And in telling your story, you will help another entity consider it or move away from the chosen innovation.
Another question is, will applications be considered if the applicants do not demonstrate how the project has incorporated climate change and environmental justice in terms of planning and policy or design components with outcomes?
So this is new. You are required to demonstrate how the project has incorporated climate change. This is a requirement for FY21. These are our administration's priorities. So we need to make sure that all of the applications or applicants take the time to address the requirements of climate change, environmental justice in terms of planning or the policy. We need to know that you've looked at it. The evaluators will look for this information. It's a part of Criterion 3. The evaluators will be looking for that. And if it's missing, it's going to be an obvious red flag.
So there's a question about the NOFO. It looks like there's now a reporting section. Can you explain what this is? Is this different than the reports you were just talking, the final report you were talking about?
Yes, we are requiring biannual reports. With this notice of funding opportunity, previously the only reporting attached to aid was the final report. This allows us to find out what's going on as the project is moving forward. We've had projects that have stalled for different reasons, and this just allows us at our office level to know exactly where the project is. And if there's something that you all need from us, it gives you an easy way to engage with us. So yes, there is biannual reporting required, and then one final report.
Okay. Thank you. There's a question about when states would be expected to receive a response on their submission.
So we're proposing to have awards made on or before March 31st, 2022. If there's a submission that you're asking, can I use this innovation that's graduated, then we'll be responding more sooner than later, of course, so you can get the application in. I'm assuming the submission is, you're talking about either a request to use a graduated innovation or submitting your application for the NOFO.
Can you provide any additional information on TRL, technology readiness level?
Yes, I will send out a link. I will push out a link for the TRL, but that is simply what we are using to identify where the innovation is with respect to, is it in the research phase or is it ready for deployment, full-on deployment? Again, if you go back to the chart, 7 and above is what we've identified. And then you have EDC at 9. And then 6, 7, and 8, I believe, are demonstration. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at that, and I had it right in front of me. So 6, 7, and 8 are demonstration. And then 9 would be implementation, that's it. So we will fund the development 7, prototype demonstrated in an operational environment. 8, technology proven in an operational environment. 9, technology refined and market ready. And the example of the 9 would be the EDC technologies. I apologize.
Okay, great. So I have actually a few different questions related to the notice of intent. There are several people want to know a little bit more about what details are needed for that notice of intent that's due August 3rd.
Thank you. The details are, well, one, it is non-binding. I do want to say, if you submit a notice of intent, it's to provide us the information. It is non-binding. If you are not able to, if you determine that you're not going to move forward with the application process, that is fine. There will be no penalty if you submit a notice of intent and you do not move forward. You are not required to submit a notice of intent, but we would like you to submit a notice of intent. And it's as easy as sending an email to innovation@dot.gov, submit the organization name, the point of contact and their information, the innovation, and any information you can provide, a small summary if you have it, for the project. If you don't have it, simply the organization name, the point of contact, and the innovation you plan to use would be what you need to submit.
Okay, great. And then I had a few questions about how to get a copy of this presentation.
Okay, so we are going to provide the presentation. I will post it to our 8 demonstration website. It will not be immediate because we have to go through production to make sure that we meet the 508 requirements, but yes, it will be made available.
Okay. And then can you confirm with us the application deadline again, please?
The application deadline is September 28th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
There's also a question about matching funds. They thought they heard something about matching funds. Can you elaborate? And we had somebody else that was asking if the matches or the mix of in-kind cash matching take an impact on the scoring.
Okay, so TDIP funds require a 20% match. So it's an 80-20, and then it requires the 20% match. And as far as I believe you're asking if in-kind can be used as part of the match?
Yes.
Yes.
And will the mix of the type of match have an impact on the scoring criteria? Is that part of the scoring on a project, the type of a match that's being used?
No, the type of match will not be scored, but identifying the source of the match is required.
At what level in the state affiliation should the application be made? I think this is asking within the DOT. The people are wondering who they should approach to discuss the NOFO.
I think it's going to vary from department, from DOT to DOT. Some have your EDC coordinators there. Some have actual EDC coordinators. Some have innovation champions. It will vary from agency to agency. So if you're a sub trying to figure out who to talk to, you might want to start with your innovation leads at the DOT. If there's a stick within your state, you may want to go there, but those would be my 2 go-tos to find out how the state moves the local applications forward.
Okay, thank you. Can you distinguish the difference between the definitions of the project and the innovation? I think both of these terms were used in the NOFO, and just trying to understand better what a project is and what an innovation is.
Okay, so a project could be bridge rehabilitation. And the innovation could be ultra high performance concrete being used for the decking. So the project would be the bridge project, and the innovation would be employing the use of ultra high performance concrete for surface treatments.
Okay, thank you. So I have another question about, most states might have a lengthy process to get funds into their STIP and get them obligated and contracted. Is there any leniency to that 3-year performance period?
So the project should be in the programming document. Because of this lengthy process, we're aware of, that's why we're making sure that the project is in the programming document. We would really need to have a discussion on why we could not meet the 3 years if it's already there.
Okay, thank you. What kind of state match is allowed?
Again, I think it's going to vary from state to state.
Okay.
But I can't answer that. I apologize.
I have another question saying if a university is helping a DOT on implementing the project, not conducting basic research, will that be eligible?
That would be eligible. Mm-hmm.
Also got a question about are innovative approaches, technology deployments for ITS operations and maintenance eligible for the program? For example, a performance-based ITS maintenance contract that utilizes integrated software systems for performance management. Do you want to take the questions about specific innovations? I guess that's.
Yes, I'm going to tell you, Sarah, no, I don't want to take questions about specific innovations because I don't want to provide the wrong answer. So I would need to talk to our subject matter experts on that. If it's an area that I'm familiar with, I would be quick to say, yes, that's innovative. But if it's not an area I'm familiar with, I don't want to give the wrong answer. So we will answer all specific questions. I will provide a response to you if you've identified yourself. If not, please feel free to just follow up with me. Send me an email so I can get that specific answer back to you. I would like to make sure that I provide that answer to you. But I want to make sure I give you the right answer.
So another kind of more general idea of the deployments is, would European deployments count as proven technology, or do you expect to see just US deployments, or how is that handled with these innovations?
European deployments are acceptable. So we'd be fine with them. We've had one before.
Same. There's other questions that are coming up. What email address do you want people to use to ask you questions?
The question should go to innovation@dot.gov. I believe I put that out there. So yes, innovation@dot.gov. You can also send any graduate innovation request to that email address. My email address is out there also. Either way it goes, just please send us questions. I will make sure, especially if they're specific, I will make sure that I get a response back to you. When it comes to the graduated innovations, I will probably have a follow-up phone call with those entities that are interested in using something that has been graduated. But again, it won't be just one person making a decision. We will have to go to our subject matter experts. But that can also be sent to innovation information@dot.gov.
Okay, so we have another question of, does the mention of the first mile, last mile AV that's in the NOFO sound like go beyond the traditional Federal Highway Administration applications? They're just asking if they're reading that correctly.
Does it go beyond the traditional applications? I'm not sure what that question is referring to, so I would rather that individual have a conversation with me so I can make sure, again, that I bring in the right person to help me answer it.
Okay. Another question, can private assistance, such as software or hardware from an underlying technology, be used towards a match?
Yes, it can.
Another question is, have aid funds been used for innovations that are included as part of a larger construction project? If so, how is that portion of the project calculated for this application?
Okay, so one thing I guess I should stress that aid should, or aid only covers the implementation of the innovation. So if it is part of a larger project, I'm going to go back to my bridge. So we had a previous award of a nano coating for a bridge, and the cost to apply, the cost of the product, the cost of everything associated with applying that nano coating to the undercarriage of the bridge, that's what they submitted as their proposal. And that's what was approved, but it was part of a larger project. The bridge had been redone, and again, this was the aid piece of it. The nano coating was the aid piece of it.
Okay. So I just have, if you have any more questions, please put them in the Q&A. There's one more question right now, and just saying that they just wanted to clarify on the eligible projects, and I think the TRL level, because it said that they thought they heard that the innovation has to already be proven, and they're just wondering if that was correct.
So yes, the innovation must be proven on the technology readiness level scale that we have. We're 7 and above, and that includes the development and the implementation stages of the technology readiness level chart. So 7, prototype demonstrated in operational environment, 8, technology proven in operational environment, and 9, technology refined and market ready. So the 2 stages of that chart would be development and implementation. And of the development, you only have 7 and 8. In implementation, you have 9. So yes, they must be proven. Did I answer the question? I think there was something else you asked.
Yes, I think that answers it.
Okay.
And there are no more questions at this time.
Okay, well, I thank you all. I thank you for your participation. Again, for those that are interested, please feel free to submit the notice of intent. Again, we're not asking, we specifically did not ask for narrative, come up with a special form. We figured having it come via email to innovation@dot.gov was perfect. So send your organization name, the point of contact, and the innovation. If you have a small summary about the project, feel free to add that, not required. For those who are interested in using a graduated innovation, I need you to reach out to me more sooner than later. I would hate for you to prepare an application that we ultimately won't consider. So please reach out to me more sooner than later. Send it to me or send it to innovation@dot.gov and provide organization name, If you know how it has been used, you might want to add that information. If it hasn't been used in your area, provide us as much information to make the case. But I definitely will be following up with you. So hope to see a number of individuals or a number of emails coming from you guys stating that you're going to apply for 2021 aid. And I'm looking forward to trying to work with those entities that really want to try something new for them, but has graduated. So we'll work with you to see what we can do and get your application moving forward. I'm excited about aid 2021. I really am. And I hope that all of you are too. I'm happy that the program is continuing. And I believe that we're going to have a nice pool of applicants to consider. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Sarah, and our production manager, Adam. Thank you very much to all of you.